Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, May 19th, 2025. And if you need baseball bets, you are watching the right show. This is Picks with the Professor, player level data, PhD level precision. All right, Cousin Jared, we have a bit of a different wrinkle here. Everyone who's watching has already been like, whoa, this is a new setup here. We're making some changes. We're having some fun here, Cousin Jared. What do you have to say here as we embark on a new chapter of Picks with the Professor?
I am excited to learn, along with everybody else, what the rest of this show will look like.
Yes, it's
going to be what I would say. It is going to be different. It is going to be unique. And so I'm just glad that everybody's able to join us today on this, I don't know, soft launch of the different form of Picks with the Professor. But I'm excited for what we've got going on now.
Whatever it may be, I don't even know if we are live at this point. I don't even know if people have audio at this point. We will find out at some point. And I think, Cousin Jared, I'm like you. We're recording this either way. So if it doesn't end up being live while we're recording it, people can watch it later. But Cousin Jared, I'm kind of like you. I think I'm excited for people to see, what this show looks like. As well, just because of the fact that it's going to be a little bit new to me as well. Just some quick reminders here. If you are new to the show, or if it's been a while, some reminders. We have player baseball. Of course, you see that on the screen. It's a really important aspect here. What makes us a little bit different. What does it mean? Ratings reflect the current rosters. That matters for injuries. It also matters for, trades and other, things of that nature. Suspensions.
Guys getting 80-game suspensions for PEDs in 2025.
Yeah, we're still doing that apparently. Average gets 100, higher imply more runs. We are projecting an average game. One game is unknown, and if you watch baseball talk, you know anything about that. But when we say 55% winners, of course, we mean that we are going to lose. Unfortunately, 9 out of 10, 20 times. And so we always talk about this, we're going to win a lot, we're going to lose a lot, but we're going to win more when we win than we lose than we lose. And that's why we know that anything is a good bet if it's at the right price or the right number. Just some quick reminders here before we get into it. If you are looking to join us for our premium service over on Dub Club, the Honor Roll All Access package gets a bunch of other stuff. We're going to be working here in the next few weeks on highlighting all of these things, showing them across our social medias. We're doing a whole lot more on TikTok and Instagram, etc. And so we got a whole bunch of things coming up, but also all the stuff on Dub Club. Nothing is changing. Still all the same material over there, all the same projections. Price thresholds, summary notes, etc. New low pricing, and the link in the show description will get you half off for your first month. Folks, we are about to get into it here, covering every single game. If you have questions, and this is where I think, Cousin Jared, I think we're going to have to start making some mental notes about what we like here, what we don't like, and whatnot. So bear with us, folks, in the next week or two. There might be some changes here as we figure this out. For now, we're going to kind of say, we'll try to answer comments as they come in if they're about the game. If not, we'll answer any comments at the end. So please feel free to ask questions or comments. But we're going to cover every game. We're going to deep dive and ask a lot of questions. Cousin Jared, you have no idea what's coming, neither do I. So we're gonna just have fun with it here. Reds and Pirates. We'll learn here. No day games here on Monday, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. First pitch. We're going to start from the mid-60s. We're going to finish in the mid-50s. Wind out 5 to 10 miles an hour, out towards right center field. So you're talking about a park that is, a pretty neutral. These teams are not really high-scoring teams themselves. That's mainly because the Pirates. The Reds are doing just fine offensively. The Pirates, though, maybe not the best offense in the world, and that's going to hurt. But the other thing is that these pitchers are both better than average, and so we think slightly fewer runs than expected based off of the players. Weather might dampen it a little bit, but not much. We're projecting a total of 8.1, and we've got the Reds winning this 55% of the time, mainly on the strength of that offense, as we talked about. Bullpens largely a wash, starting pitchers largely a wash, but something that we should talk about because both these guys have promise and have looked really good at times over the last few years between Lodolo and Keller. Both guys have pitched in the low 50 number of innings this year. Lodolo's ERA is better. His underlying metrics may be slightly better. But in general, what we're talking about here is two promising pitchers. Cousin Jared, we've liked to back on both over time. We've got the Reds winning this 55% of the time. We would lean Reds if we had to at the current prices. There's no actual pick on this, no official pick, no A grades on us for this one. So last night we gave out this as just nothing. There were just C grades. As of this morning now, The Reds are priced at -112. That would get it to a B grade. That would be a lean the A grade threshold, -110. Because, Jared, the total is 8. We're projecting 8.1. The model's not giving us much in the total, but the side we would lean Reds, we're only, 2 cents away from an A grade. Are you thinking you could pull the trigger on the Reds? Or if so, what would make you pull the trigger on the Reds?
I think I could probably pull the trigger on the Reds. And as anybody who has watched this show very much knows, that both we and Sideline are big fans of Mitch Keller. And so when I saw the original projections last night and saw that the Pirates were not an official pick with Keller on the mound, that automatically triggered to me that, hey, the Reds, I definitely wasn't making a play on the game at the lines last night. If anything, I would lean Reds opposite of Sideline, just because we know how much it likes Mitch Keller there. And so the fact that today
and for the record, last night the Reds were more in the I think they're up -125 a little bit, and that was where it was kind of like you said, they're not making the play at that price. Now it's up to -112, and now it's like, ooh, maybe, right?
Yeah, so I think me personally, I would be good with being on the Reds here. Like I said, just a couple of cents away from an A grade. And the fact that Sideline's saying fade Mitch Keller, which it never tends to do, to me is a pretty strong signal.
Yeah, I think so too, and I that would be my take on it. Is not an official pick, not an A grade, so I wouldn't play it at a full price. That A grade threshold at -110. The way I would look at this, viewer, if you already kind of like the Reds, if you're kind of looking for some action, I think the Reds are a fine play at this -112 price, maybe up to -115. I wouldn't play it at a full unit, but if you want to dabble in it, I think, Cousin Jared, I think we're kind of saying that's not the craziest idea, even if it's not official. It's not one that we have a problem with, and I think you're right. I think it's largely on the Pirates' offense that struggles, and then like you said, we love Mitch Keller, and so the fact that the model is even leaning against him says, if you feel like it, fire away. We're not saying like run, don't walk, but -118 on DraftKings right now. Yeah, I do think it's probably another day. I'm not sure I'd be running to bet -118. Cousin Jared, where would you be on -118? Would you obviously we're shopping around? Would you be waiting for like a 115? Would you be?
Yeah. I would probably need like a 115 or something to feel comfortable about playing this.
And we're going to move on here to the next game. One last thing that I did want to mention about this, because I think it's a great point here when we're talking about the differences. Number one, of course, the closer you are to even money, every penny matters a little bit more with regards to your break-even threshold, and that matters because that makes it easier for us to make money. Because in Jared, we like ways for us to be easier to make money. So don't disregard those pennies around even money. They matter a lot. That said, I wouldn't have a problem playing the Reds at -118. I'm just not doing it right now. Personally, I'm waiting. If it gets better, great. If it gets worse, it's a pass. If it gets to game time and the line hasn't moved at all, sure, but surely the line's going to move somewhere at some point. And it's going to start going away, and we're going to say just pass, or it's going to start getting better and it's play. It's definitely right on that borderline there. Cubs and Marlins will get started here at the same 6:40 a.m. first pitch. We got 3 games starting before 7 Eastern. I always love that. Warm one in Miami, low 80s, probably going to close the roof. I never know exactly what they're going to do there with the humidity in that roof. It sometimes confuses me. That park has turned into a very hitter-friendly park all of a sudden. It's really surprised me, viewer, if anyone's watching this and at some point has any information, I'd love to learn, to drop a comment, let me know why. It just seems weird that all the other parks that have changed, we've heard the stories, moving the fences in, moving the fences back, whatever it may be. The Rangers, remember that one year they added the thing at home plate and then it created this wind tunnel. You hear about these things. The Guardians did their thing out in right field and it changed the wind, right? I don't know what happened in Miami, but it's like there's runs everywhere, it seems like. We like these we like the pitcher, at least for the Cubs, thinking this game could be a little bit lower scoring, mainly because we still like Ben Brown, even though he has struggled this year with the results. But folks, this is one, and we're talking about every game here. You're going to hear me say this a few times each show. Ben Brown's a guy that I'm not ready to fade just yet. I know the ERA 4.76 doesn't look good, but his underlying metrics look much better than that. I still think he's going to be okay, and that's why we think maybe a little bit lower scoring than average based off the players. Again, the park a little bit more hitter friendly, though, is going to make this a little bit of a tougher one to peg on where exactly to put the total. We've got it at 8.3. right now. Last night we had 8.4, so kind of in that same ballpark. Whether it should be 8.3, 8.4, 8.5, 8.2, that's a little bit tougher to say because I don't know exactly what's happening with that park and the roof. What we can say is under 9 is a pretty good play. We locked that in last night, A grade at -115. It is -125 now, Cousin Jared. It's now a B grade. So I started getting really excited about the format of this new show because I think every game we're going to be able to do this. Say, this is what we did last night, but now it's different. Now what? Because every game the lines move enough. Last night we played that under 9, -115 A grade. If you got that, great. You can just fast forward to the next game, go get yourself some water, go to the bathroom, come back if you're watching with us live, right? Whatever it may be. Because, Jared, for the question for the viewer who maybe didn't get the -115 last night, it's -125 now. Are you playing it there? If not, where do you need it to be to play it?
Yeah, I'm still playing the under 9 at -125 for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the Marlins. We like to give a lot of other teams a hard time, like the Rockies come to mind. Some of these other teams that are consistently offensively challenged. At least like with the Rockies, they can play some games at home. You never know when they're going to, spike up and score some runs at home. It's just like the Marlins. It doesn't matter. Like the Marlins have a bad offense every year. It doesn't really matter what they do, home, road, none of that really changes.
Pirates too. I mean, I know we've already, maybe we can dog the Pirates in every game.
Yeah, maybe we can. The other thing here is that 9 is one of the few numbers where I would be comfortable laying some extra juice just because of all of the push protection.
9 and 7 are the only two in baseball I'd consider it with.
Yeah, and so that's a big part of it as well. I think that extra price to stay on 9 is important. And the other thing is, this is just like me personally with Edward Cabrera. I can't give up on him just yet. I mean, he has the electric stuff.
He does.
He had issues with walks. The walks have gotten a little bit better, but the strikeouts have gone down and the hits have gone up. And so it's just,
it's like those are all related.
Yeah.
The whole velocity and control thing.
Yeah. He just can't get everything right. And it's like, just for one day, if it all goes right, he's going to give you, 5-6 really good innings. And so I can't give up on him. It's been 3 full seasons at this point. Maybe I should have given up on him at this point, but I just can't quite do it.
At this point, I respect that. I think if you were going to give up on him, you should have given up 3 years ago. I think at this point, if you're still there, I think you just got to own it at this point, and you just got to drive this bandwagon right into the ground and not even care. I love guys like Edward Cabrera, and the reason why is because they frustrate most every other handicapper and bettor out there because they're like, I don't know what to do with this guy. And it's like, I don't know. I think you're overthinking it. It's real simple. He's not that good. He was priced like he was good, and so we faded him mostly, and we made a lot of money. Yep. And now the market kind of realizes he's not that good. So we don't have to overthink it. Okay, well, now maybe he's priced appropriately. We're just not going to auto fade him, right? We faded him a lot the last few years. I think the market's finally caught up. And they realize he's not that good. The market's finally given up. And so now I think, because of Jared, I joke, but I'm not being completely facetious when I say you should just stick with it, because now if you stick with it, and you're right, you're going to get a heck of a bargain value because now the market's given up on them. The reason I say all that is to say we're not touching the side. I think the side's priced pretty well. We've got it -146 for the Cubs. The current price this morning is like -170. That's like, you're not going to touch that. And the Marlins, typo on the screen there, of course, that we think it should be +146. You can get +154, but like, I'm not running to play the Marlins at +154, not against the Cubs, who've been so good. And comment here. Yeah, I personally, because I'm curious your thoughts. I think the Cubs win the NL Central. They have the offense. Their pitching is all pretty decent. And really, I think the rest of the Central is just terrible. And so I'm not running to fade a team like that. So I'm not running to fade the Cubs, but I'm like, hey, Ben Brown, I still believe in him. The Marlins offense isn't very good. And kind of like you said, if Cabrera does anything decent with the 9, this is a good play. Now, for me, it's only an honorable mention, not a top play. And the reason why, personally, is because this Cubs offense can put up a lot of runs, and that park can give up a lot of runs now, apparently. So it's not one of my favorites, but it is one that's definitely worth a play. Cousin Jared, I'm curious if you have any other thoughts to add to that.
Yeah, so as hearing you talk about it, it just made me realize that the under 9 is a good play, because either Cabrera has a good game and probably the Cubs don't score too much, or the Marlins do their thing and they don't score much. Really, you just probably need one of those things to happen for
you just need both to not go wrong.
Yeah. And so I think that's good. To the question in the chat, do I think the Cubs are going to win the NL Central? I think I would pose the question back, if not the Cubs, then who? And
that's kind of that was
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that. So yes, I would say the Cubs because I don't trust any other team. Like the only other team I think you can make is somewhat of a case for is the Cardinals. Even that I think would be a little bit shaky. If
honestly, I think if it's not the Cubs, I think your best bet's probably either the Padres or the Diamondbacks. I mean, I really think.
I mean, if only,
I mean, wouldn't that make more sense than any of the other teams winning? Because
probably so, but we will save all of our realignment, projections for Discord.
That will be that we could just have a whole channel on that one.
Yes.
Mets and the Red Sox, the last game here before 7 p.m. Eastern, 6:45 first pitch, low 50s in Fenway, strong winds up to 20 miles an hour blowing across. Folks, this game could get kind of fun when you sometimes get 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing, especially at a park like Fenway with its weird dimensions. Guys might be running into walls everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's not going to really do much for the projected total that wind. The temperature will decrease it. Of course, that park being weird, having not a lot of foul territory, the Green Monster can provide a lot of runs. All that to say, we aren't touching the total. The model says 8.8. The actual total is 9. That's pretty close. Not worth an official look here. We did have an honorable mention last night on the Mets. We played them at the price of, on the Red Sox. At plus 124, but this line has moved a ton because that plus 124 was an A grade on the Red Sox. Right now, it's already moved almost 15 cents, basically. And now you're talking about C grades. All the value's gone on the Red Sox now from the overnight, according to the model. Cousin Jared, what does that mean for you? How are you handling this? Two solid pitchers, kind of a coin toss game. We liked the plus 124 last night, A grade on the Red Sox. Now that it's a lot less, what does that mean for you?
Not touching this game now. I was quick to grab the Red Sox last night, mostly because we haven't, or at least I feel like we haven't talked about it as much this season, but the Sunday Night Baseball curse, that bounce back there. And then, the Mets not getting an off day here. I know it's a short trip from New York to Boston, but still, to me, this was just more of a spot play. So I saw the fact that sideline liked the Red Sox, and I was like, hate the spot for the Mets. So there is no way. I mean, there is a way. That's the foundation of what we do here. Any play is good at a certain number, but there is no reasonable number at which I would be on the Mets here.
Yeah.
So to me, it was Red Sox or pass, and I think the value is gone at this point.
I feel like I should say something, but I almost just want to tell the viewer, just rewind 30 seconds and listen to what you said again. It was perfect. At this point, the value's mostly gone. It's tough to really want anything. Last night was a play simply because I just don't know how the Mets are going to bounce back from that last night. We've heard about this curse. Obviously, it's not a curse. But the thing that I think that's important to note about this is it's not like this whole Sunday night thing and trying to make short travel just snuck up on us. It's not like 10 years ago nobody knew hey, maybe a Sunday night thing, we shouldn't make them travel the next day really far. We've known that. So it's not like people will be like, oh, well, they've solved this because the distance is closer. No, they've always tried to make the distance closer and it didn't matter. Now I think they have tried to make it even more now because of what they saw and because the outrage reporting on it. I think they've tried to now give more off days, make it even whatever. But it's it wasn't like they were trying to screw those teams.
Yeah.
And it's still the fact that everyone's so dang good that the smallest things magnify and look better because the talent's so close.
Yeah, and I literally don't know if any of the viewers even know this, but it was rivalry weekend this past weekend, and very few series would I say that may actually matter. But the Mets and the Yankees, I think, is one where you're going to get a little bit of extra effort, whether knowingly or not, from both teams. And so, like I said, I think it's just more likely from a hangover just because of the series that they just played.
I agree. Real quick, 60 seconds. What other series do you think mattered? Off the top of my head, Astros Rangers, just because it's been such a battle for the division. I think that one could matter into today. Any others that you can think of that really, because Dodgers didn't play the Giants, but Dodgers Diamondbacks, maybe.
Could be Dodgers and Diamondbacks. I don't want to give it away. There's one later. There's one later that I think it matters, but we're going to talk about. I'm going to specifically talk about that one.
Okay, so to recap here, total's pretty spot on. Right now, the price is spot on. I'm guessing the overnight movement was people like us who saw the price of the Red Sox and thought it's just too good of a price to pass up on. And I do want to make sure, I know we have a really smart audience here. But again, some of the times, some of these 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, right? Especially when you get over 10, we're making a lot of baseball bets. It's going to add up, people. It sounds kind of silly, but like it really, if you could just get 5 cents better on every single one of your bets, it's going to change your life. And so that's why we worry about this stuff so much, because it adds up. If you're just betting 2 or 3 times, 5 cents, 10 cents doesn't matter. But if you're doing this all the time like we are, then that stuff matters.
And I mean, I feel like something you already mentioned. We win more when we win and lose less when we lose.
And that's why, because we're concerned about the price. So we make sure that we're getting good prices. And that way, we've got the math on our side. Astros and Rays, we just kind of mentioned that here. Might be a little bit of a hangover potentially for the Astros, such a big series. Of course, the Astros, you could say, could have a hangover from the last decade because they've been the hunted for so long. It's crazy. Wormwood in Tampa and no roof, of course. Now we haven't talked a ton about this stadium yet this year, a little bit, but mid-80s. No real weather effect when we win. Maybe slight breeze in, might be a cross. Really, we're just talking about still trying to understand this park, understand the rain situation. We front-loaded the schedule there. The MLB did in Tampa because the summer rain coming, and there's summer rain like every game that might disrupt it. It seems like so it's just going to be a weird year in Tampa. Pitching wise, Ray's going to have the edge with Pepio, who 3.93 ERA, underlying metrics a little bit worse, very average pitcher. Colton Gordon, Cousin Jared, did you know of this guy before he came up? We're to the point with the Astros pitcher. Someone asked in the Discord, they were like, did the Astros have any starting pitching? And of course, you and I are big Astros fans. And I'm like, I don't want to answer this question because last year they had so much depth. They had last couple of years, they've had an entire starting rotation on the IL and then had a good rotation in the majors. This year, it's starting to all really fall apart. And
this year they still have an entire rotation on the IL.
But they don't have a good one in the majors now. I mean, some of the back end of this has gotten rough. Not to say he can't be a good – I just don't even know anything about him, which is, again, surprising. I know most top prospects and most Astros prospects. He didn't look great in his first start. I'm not really sure I'm overly thrilled and thinking he's going to be much now. I do think they're going to keep him on a shorter 4-inning thing and say go harder. That helps. That does help because they're not asking him to go 7. But either way, the Rays will have the edge there. Offensively, I guess the Astros will have an edge. Cousin Jared, is this not the matchup with the most disappointing offenses this season so far? These two offenses have been just so disappointing to me, I think.
Well, I was actually thinking about this the other day. Who are the most disappointing teams so far this season? Well, number one is by far the Orioles.
Yes,
the only other team that I would put above at least the Astros on offense, and you're going to laugh when I say this, but it's the Rockies. How bad the Rockies have been. We had the White Sox.
Should I take my hat off now?
Yeah. We had the White Sox last year, and it's no comparison so far for what the Rockies are doing this season to what the White Sox did last season. I just happened to be thinking of that even though we thought the Rockies were going to be bad, they had just been a whole another level bad. Yeah. So for me, it's the Orioles, the Rockies, and then probably, these two teams very close after that.
Yeah. Rays at home, maybe a little bit weaker in the offense in the pen, but the big starting pitching edge. We lean Rays here, 54%. No official pick on this one as last night. We would have leaned Astros. We would still lean the Astros. You're looking at about plus 120. But the model says the price should be up plus 115. Because in Jared, 5 cents of value around even money isn't nothing. And that's why it's a beat grade. It's one where we would say, user, listen to this. If we're playing it, it's Astros. The price has got some value, but it's maybe not enough value that you have to play it. It's one where you can choose to pass. We chose to pass. I'm choosing to be a little more selective on the B grades, but this is a great opportunity for you to make your pitch. Is this a B grade people should look into, or are you worried about Colton Gordon and just the Astros disappointment and saying, I know there might be a little value, but let's just actually pass like the model did?
I would be fine with being on the Astros here, plus 120 to 125, somewhere in there, I would be good with that. one of the big reasons is I don't know how Sideline has done with the Astros this year, but I know Sideline is fine going back and forth in the Astros. It does not seem to favor them one way or the other. It does favor the Rays, and so the fact that it has a lean towards the Astros here tells me something. The other thing with Gordon being on the mound, and I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up rear ends and try to say like he's going to be really good or anything, but the Astros have plenty of experience with managing situations like this now because of the injuries they've had the past couple of years. So I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's going to be great, but I don't think the wheels are going to completely fall off either. So if this moves a little bit more, this gets to, let's say, 122, 123, come talk to me. I'd probably back the Astros at that point.
The A grade threshold, according to the model, and again, this information is provided for everyone on Dub Club for every single game. I'll try to mention it here. If I forget, I apologize. And if that's something that I forget and y'all want to ask a question, just drop that in the chat. Hey, what was the A grade threshold for this? The A grade threshold for the Astros would be plus 132. So we're not going to get there reasonably. And I think you made a great point in the previous game, talking about there's no way you would play the Mets at a reasonable price. We say any price is a good price. And we're like, yeah, the Mets would be a good price at a certain point. We know it's never going to happen. Yeah. Almost the same thing here. We're never going to probably get, almost assuredly never going to get to the A grade. And so, Chris and Jared, you're saying as long as it gets into a better B, might be worth a look. I tend to agree. I lean that way as well. Model does tend to like the Rays a little bit more. But if I was playing this again, I wouldn't be playing it hard just because of the Colton Gordon thing, being young and unknown, extra variance. But I will say, and I'll try to remember to say this later in the season as a reminder for people, but one of the features in Sideline, one of the things that I do as on purpose building these models is I try to build up from the bottom up how the game is played, knowing what I know about the game. And one of those is about that in the model, and it's kind of a quirky way that I've got about doing it. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but more or less what I have done is say kind of what you were saying, Cousin Jared, certain teams tend to do better in these situations. Why do they do better? Tends to be if they have a better bullpen, tends to be if they have a better farm system, tends to be if they're a better team overall, because they're going to be less likely to just let a prospect get innings. It also matters pitching, right? All these little factors. And so I've kind of crafted a way in the model to do that. So the penalty for Gordon being on the Astros is less than the penalty it would be if he was on, say, the Rockies. Where if he was on the Rockies, the model would be a whole lot more worried and actually shift the probability and the expectation more, because it would be saying, hey, the Rockies aren't good. Right. They're more likely to prospect go deeper. Their bullpen's terrible, and things can blow up in a hurry. But there, like you said, the Astros have done this a lot. They've got a good system. They kind of know their dudes, and they kind of they've shown the ability to say, hey, only go out there and do 4 and not make him good, but at least make him as good as he can be, which minimizes the damage. And that's something to kind of take note of. Right. Mariners and the White Sox, 7:40 p.m. Eastern. Folks, only one 7 p.m. Eastern game on a day that there are, 12 games. I can't believe that. Chilly night in Chicago, low 50s. Wind will be about 15 miles an hour, folks. Going to start off across, come in. As the game goes along, it's going to be harder and harder to score runs from a weather standpoint. It's going to be easier and easier because the White Sox bullpen will be involved. So do with that what you will. I think that's probably why this is an honorable mention under 8 and not a top play, because the White Sox bullpen is involved. Any game the White Sox are involved in, it's hard to make it a top play unless you're just straight fading them. Right. Because you have to be concerned about a total. Their offense may not score a run. They may give up 10, right? Yeah. And that's really the only reason this is an honorable mention. Otherwise, though, it sets up to be a good under spot. This White Sox offense is terrible. Their bullpen's terrible, but the Mariners got good relievers. Luis Castillo has been really disappointing this year. This is by far the worst rating he's had. His xFIP is a disaster. So, folks, if you're a Mariners fan and you're worried about Luis Castillo's 3.65 ERA, turn the channel now, because I am here to tell you I am more worried than that. The model's really worried, but it's the White Sox offense. Right? Yeah. It's 50 degrees, and the wind's going to be blowing in by the end of this game. We're sticking with the under. Honorable mention, not my favorite, but a model projection of 7.2. We got to do it. Cousin Jared, tell us more.
The only thing I have to say about this is, I mean, it's only May 19th, but if Luis Castillo has issues here, it's not a good omen for the season. So I am almost going under purely because I don't think that's the case. I think Castillo will get it together and maybe not be what he has been, but at least be better than what he has done so far this season. And to your point, it is tough on unders with the White Sox because you never know when they're going to give up double-digit runs themselves. But because of the weather, because the Mariners bullpen, you talked about the White Sox bullpen, because of the Mariners bullpen, I'm
refinding its form finally after a rough start to the season.
Yes, I'm good with going under 8 in this one.
Yeah, this line hasn't moved really at all from the overnight. We played it at like basically even money last night. It's basically even money now. A grade still one of the few ones where it's like there's really not as much to talk about. Just
right.
We're going to trust the model, go under. And because, Joe, we talk about this a lot in football, college football, where we say, sometimes you just got to make a play and say, you know what, if I get beat, I'm not going to feel bad. I'm just going to say, all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you learn. And I'm like you. If we lose this one because the Mariners score 10, it's like, whatever. You're not going to win every bet. We know that, right? That's the whole point about the prices. We're just trying to find prices such that we know that, again, we could win more, we win, we lose. But if we lose because Castillo gives up 8 runs, we just go, all right. Fool me once. Won't do it again. Guardians and the Twins. Bailey Ober and Logan Allen. I love a pitching matchup like this because you don't see the name Bailey and Logan often. So it's kind of some fun, like unique names, like Jen, there's like a generation for these names. The AL Central to me continues to be, and the NL Central, both the Centrals continue to just be fascinating for very different reasons. Because you might have to explain to me what's happening in the AL Central. Because I feel like every time I turn around, I'm like, I have a completely different perspective on it. All these AL Central games just get weird to me and confusing. Right now, the model would lean under and would lead Twins. Last night, we locked in the under because we were able to get the under 7.5 at -110. And that was an A grade. Right now, it's -113. It's 3 cents different. The projection changed from 7.0 to 7.0. So it wasn't like the projection changed. Sometimes the projection will change a 10th or 2 of a run. We'll have one later we'll talk about. Really what this is we were right on the verge of an A grade is what this is saying at -110. And we took it as an honorable mention. We wake up this morning, it's moved 3 cents, and now it's on the other side. So this is that classic rounding error scenario. Because, Jared, where's your head at when I say we had a pick, but it was right on the edge? This morning, it's flipped a few cents the other way. Do you care? Why? What's going on in your brain here?
Well, for this matchup specifically, I would say it doesn't matter because I look at the relievers that these teams are able to throw out there and say that, hey, as long as this game does not get out of hand one way or the other, each team is kind of going to be making those optimal decisions to how they run out their bullpen arms. So
in a series that, even though it's only May, is both these teams feel this series matters for division implications.
Yeah, and especially because with the Twins, who won 11 straight games or whatever it was, finally lost yesterday, I believe.
Part of why I'm so confused about this division, I don't understand what's happening.
Well, so when I was looking at the Twins winning that many games in a row, my ultimate thought on that was, wow, what does that say about the Tigers that the Twins can win 11 games in a row and the Tigers are still up by 5 games?
Right. Right. What is happening in this division?
Yeah. So it's been pretty crazy for sure. Really, the only other team talking about the AL Central, the other team that I'm getting getting better vibes than I was earlier was Kansas City. Just because their pitching's so good, they finally at a point got some offense. They were
just enough to work with that pitching too.
Well, and they had a fairly negative run differential, through the first few weeks of the season. Now they've gotten back to basically even. So, honestly, outside of Detroit, I think the team that I like most is the Royals if they can get anything out of their offense.
I think the Royals' issue is that in the last 24 hours, Reagans and Lugo both going in the IL is just
it's tough.
A terrible terrible timing. I mean, if both those guys go down, but basically the same time, it's just gonna hurt them. Want to talk about the weather real quick on this one? A lot of rain all around. This game may not even happen, so I don't really want to spend too much more on it. I think I kind of want to leave you with this. The model would lean Twins. If you pick a side, it's kind of Twins or pass. I think that's largely on the strength of the starting pitcher differential. Otherwise, this game's pretty much a wash with lean Minnesota being at home. But right now, the price being -132. We think it should be minus 135. We're leaning Twins. I'm not running to play it, but if you want to play it, you can. Cousin Jared, what you told us with is the under, of course, 7.5, minus 110, minus 113. Don't worry about the price on that. I think I'd play this under 7 as well, as long as I was getting even money or better. That push protection there, you might push, but I think there's a real good chance this game lands like 3-1. If it happens, we're going to have really strong winds blowing in straight in from center field, almost 20 miles an hour. It's going to be chilly. Unfortunately, with all the rain, I think this is probably a washout. And so in that regard, I would guess if you're doing DFS sort of stuff, don't count on these guys. If you are betting it, maybe look first 5 under, maybe they can squeeze 5 in. I'm not sure they get anything in. I think it's an early postponement, but we'll find out. Okay. Orioles and the Brewers, Dean Kremer and Quinn Priester here. Finally, our first top play of the day, as we are going to go under 8.5. We got this at minus 110 last night. Cousin Jared, in a rare situation, we actually can get a better price this morning. So a fun thing to talk about here, how you would handle that. But I love this under 8.5 at minus 110. I said, I don't really care that we're on the wrong side of 9. The model's projecting this at 7.6. Both of these offenses have been miserable. The Brewers we kind of expected. The Orioles we didn't. Coming into the season, the Orioles were a top 5 offense. And now they're in the bottom half. It's just unbelievable. The relievers for the Orioles still playing really well. But folks, 15 extra cents of value in the morning. This happens very rarely for us. Cousin Jared, if you put 1 unit on it last night and now we've got 15 cents better, are you adding more to this under? Why do you like it? How much do you like it? What do you think?
I'm not adding anymore because of the number that this is at, because this is 8.5. I would want rather a holdout. I do not think it's going to get to 9, but I would rather hold out just in case it got to 9. Then that's when I would add another half unit or something like that. If it sticks at 8.5, for me, it's just not worth it. Just knowing that 9 is such a common outcome. Part of the reason why I like this play, though, we just talked about disappointing teams. It was a perfect setup for this, and you could have convinced me with the Orioles, letting Corbin Burns go, that they would have a step back, with their starting pitching. So have they been worse than I anticipated? Yes, but not entirely surprising. The offense has just been, shockingly bad. And, I do not keep close tabs on the Orioles, but from what I have seen, even some of the Orioles fans starting to have concerns about some of their younger players. Of course, they made the managerial change over the weekend. And so this is just one of those situations where every sign that something's pretty bad, you're checking all the boxes of like things are looking pretty bad. So maybe there's a bump, offensively with the changes that they made, but I'm just not buying it yet. They've just been so disappointing. At some point, you kind of got to go with your gut on this, and that's that. I just don't trust the Orioles offense, which is great because I don't trust the Brewers offense either. So let's go under 8.5. But I'm holding out for that 9. I don't think adding more to 8.5 it makes a difference to me.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to ask a follow-up here. If you find an under 9 out there, because especially nowadays with all the different books and all the different peer-to-peer marketplaces, I mean, you can almost find anything out there. If you can find under 9, or I'm even going to ask for a 9.5, because the 9.5, you definitely would have to play some bigger minus odds. But what sort of prices are you feeling like you could get behind here? I'll pull up here in a minute as you start talking kind of what they are now, so we can kind of get a feel for it. But I'm curious, under 9, where would you be willing to add more? Under 9.5, where would you add more? Or if you just haven't played it yet, kind of what your strategy is. I'm just kind of diving in here and seeing where you go.
Yeah. So if I hadn't played it yet, I would I'm just waiting on this. I'm waiting until an hour before first pitch.
It keeps getting better. Let's just see if it keeps getting better. Why not?
Yes. Let's just see if it gets to any number at 9. I would play it. Now, to your point, at what odds at 9 am I adding more to? I'll go back to the conversation we had earlier where I was like, hey, under 9 at minus 125, I'm fine. It's worth it. So for me, if this were under 9 at minus 125, sign me up. Like basically whatever I have to pay. I'm not gonna minus 135 or something, but minus 125 I'm fine with if I can get under 9.
You did a great job in talking long enough for me to find the alt odds screen that I was looking for. You can find an under 9 right now Caesars minus 115. Bet Online has actually just moved from the update. They're at 9, and it's minus 112.
Well, and somebody in the chat just said that there is a under 9 minus 115 available right now.
Yep. DraftKings at minus 115, Bet Online minus 112, minus 115 at Caesars. It sounds like we're MGM minus 118 as well. It sounds like we're excited about that under 9. Under 9.5, if you wanted it, Hard Rock, you get it. If anybody can still get any money there, minus 145. DraftKings minus 146. So basically same thing. Minus 145 at ESPN. You are having to pay more juice at MGM. So I would say don't MGM it now. But what is your thought hearing that now? Minus 115 for the 9, minus 145 for the 9.5. What do you like more?
No, under 9. I want the under 9 minus 115. Okay. I'm adding a half unit probably on that if I already played it. If not, I'm hitting the 9 115.
Perfect. Okay, that is great information there from you, viewer. Again, if you have any more questions, if you're watching live, drop it. We'll look back to it at the end. Real quick on the weather here: upper 40s, around 50 degrees in Milwaukee. The roof should be closed. We tend to see this early on in the season. Some of these stadiums, Milwaukee's one of them, Arizona's one of them that I've noticed. There might be a few others that I'm missing off the top of my head. That when they close the roof, the ball tends to die a little bit more. Tends to just not be as much airflow. Milwaukee's going to be opening the roof in the summer. When it gets warmer, if they don't have an air conditioner there, the ball's going to start flying a little bit more in the summer. But in the winter, early on, or the spring, when it's colder, later on in the season, in the fall, in the playoffs, it can sometimes die there a little bit and have the opposite effect of Arizona, where the ball can die a little bit more over the summer with the roof closed. Something to keep in mind why we like these unders in Milwaukee a little bit more earlier on in the season. That's part of the reason it's the top play, even better now that it's at 9. A rare case where the number's gone the opposite way. Take advantage of it. We love it. Tigers and the Cardinals, the only game, at least as of the time of this update, that did not have a line on the board yet at Bet Online. It does look like it has now, so we're going to try to handle this a little bit on the fly for our leans. Sonny Gray and what can go wrong? I'm assuming Keter Montero. I haven't actually found this yet. I'll find out in just a minute here. It's his turn. He wasn't sit down. I don't know why it wouldn't have been him. The question might be if there's an opener in front of him, so just take note of that if you bet listed. Obviously, Sonny Gray, the better pitcher. Offensively, the Tigers, top 10. Look at that. And Cousin Jared, you were talking about that. It's incredible what this Tigers team has done. And somehow the relievers are only average. And that's what you would have thought would have been the strength of this team based off of when they were starting to kind of make some noise here a few years ago. It turns out it's the offense that's going to have to carry them, especially on a day where Keter Montero, who is not very good, is again presumably getting the ball. I will confirm that in a minute. Terrible underlying metrics, just a big edge to the Cardinals there because of that. That's why we've got them winning this 58% of the time. Cousin Jared, how are you seeing this game? I'm going to give you the price in real time right now. You're looking at about a minus 150-ish for the Cardinals. That's going to be too steep for us. You can get about a plus 135 at Caesars. That's going to be too steep for us. So right now on the side, you're just going to have to kind of wing it. Totals, we're looking at 8.5. Could you go over, I guess, is the only thing. I don't know. This is a tough one since this just came out. Weather-wise, mid-70s, slight breeze in, maybe some rain, a lot of chaos here. Do you have anything to add to this chaos of this game?
Well, the first thing I would say is you're going to have to wing it, and I would say par for the course. Not a big deal. But I literally have, as you were saying those numbers, I've got nothing. Obviously, I don't care for a side there. Sideline projects 8.9. So, maybe you would say, could I go over 8.5? We talked about, 9 being such a common outcome there. But man, right now, the wind, it says potentially a strong wind in. That's one where I think I want to hold off till closer to game time and see if it's still looking like that wind's coming in. And if so, I'm not touching it. If we get more of like a crosswind, then sure, you could talk me into going over 8.5. But right now with the wind potentially coming in pretty strong, I'm not messing with any of this.
The wind and the weather is a huge talking point here. People have already been mentioning in the chat. If you've been following me anytime, that our boy Kevin Roth over there at Roto Grinders is the GOAT for weather. I've preached this for years now. I've always sent people his way, and a lot of times I'm pulling information from other weather sources, but I like to hear what he has to say, and I'm passing that along. So due credit to him, of course. People already said in the chat. I want to make sure that does not get lost. What he's talking about on this one is that once the rain starts, in his opinion, it's going to end the game. He doesn't know if it's 5th inning, 7th inning, or whatever. But once it happens, it's going to get bad. That matters in the wind, too, because the rain and the wind, the front, how that works is all correlated. So, like before the front comes through and the rain comes through, you're going to have a different rate. So, it's going to be a big weather situation. So, my recommendation on this one, right now, I think it's priced pretty well. I wouldn't touch a side. Total, unless you're really going to pay attention to this, I just ignore this game. It may not even happen. And don't waste your time on it. It's not worth it. If you're going to really pay attention to it, as Cousin Jared said, you're going to have to really look at the weather, check into that. I'm going to do the best I can right now. Right now, it looks like starting off, the wind is going to be more side to side, maybe before, there's going to be more in, and then go more side to side as the front comes through. That can change. What that tells me right now, and this is, again, I'm going to only spend 30 seconds on this, and then we're going to move on. If you're going to follow this, check this out, because right now what it looks like is maybe more of a crosswind early, maybe a first 5 over. If the rain can hold off, we aren't going to get a full game, so the full game total would get voided anyway. Assuming that wind stays to the side, wind is the toughest. Rain and wind are the toughest to predict, so we don't really know. So the easy answer is just ignore it. That's what I'm going to do. If you do follow along with it, check that rain and wind situation out. To the game folks, you've all been wanting to hear about the Rockies because you see me wearing Rockies and you're like, this moron is not going to take the Rockies, is he? And sure enough, we have an honorable mention pick on the Rockies. An A grade.
Well, I would say sideline. I wouldn't say that Cousin Jared.
Sideline.
Sideline.
Because what happens is we tend to look at this, and I tend to say the A grades are just those edges that the difference is just so big. We just kind of got to do it if we don't like it. Cousin Jared, I don't like this one. Here's what I do like. I'm going to say what I do like, and then I'm going to say what I don't like. Okay. What I do like about this one is that the projected total is 9.2. That's pretty low for Coors. We're talking about, good relievers for the Phillies, mostly some ups and downs and some rocky situations. So I know there's some Astros there, but they've got some potential, and they're facing the Rockies. So Phillies bullpen should be fine. Sanchez has been fantastic this year. It is in Coors, but he's been great. And again, he's facing the Rockies. The fear is the Phillies, how many runs can they score? But Kyle Freeland's been much better than that ERA, people. Don't be concerned about the 6.15 ERA. He's thrown almost 50 innings. His FIP is 329. His xFIP is 345. What does that mean? That means his FIP being low means it's not even bad home run luck. It's just batted ball luck. And you're going to have that in Coors. So his ERA will always be higher than his FIP and xFIP. Or it should be, and if it's not, that's just a weird statistical anomaly that'll take out in the long run. But the thing is A, it shouldn't be that much higher, and B, Sanchez is going to have the same problem. It's going to work both ways. So, yeah, the Phillies are the better team. Yeah, their bullpen is better. Yeah, Sanchez is much better. But the bottom line here is that Freeland is good enough. I'm not worried about that ERA. It's a cool night. We're talking upper 50s. Wind blowing in to start with, maybe shifting across it, starting off blowing in. I'm wondering if there's just not going to be a lot of runs. It's Coors, so I don't want to bank on that. But I'm like, +1. What did we get last night on the Rockies? +1.
+145.
+1. It's +140 now. +145, and we can still lose and win. I don't like the Rockies' offense, but it's kind of like there's a lot of reasons that this makes sense because sometimes the bets we hate the most are the smartest bets. I'm trying. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's fine. The only thing I have to say about this game is, did y'all know that Kyle Freeland was from Denver? I did not know that, and apparently last week, a beat writer basically asked him, I think flat out, was like, well, why should the fans keep showing up? And I think he almost got emotional, talking about it. Because I did not, I did not realize he was of Denver. And so, yeah, it's just poor guy, having to kind of live this thing where the team he grew up rooting for, and anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
The tenor of this show, I feel like, just completely changed. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we were joking and laughing and like, oh, the fans shouldn't even show up. And now it's like, oh man, like that like hit me. I don't know if it hit me if you know hearing that, but like I hadn't heard that. It hit me, and I'm like, man, like I like I could feel that. Like if you live your dream of being a major leaguer and you get to play for the team you. I can imagine like if I got to play for the Astros and we were terrible always and nobody was showing up, it's almost like should they even come watch you? And I'd be like, I would just anyway. Gotta move on, man.
So anyway, that's all I've got on this.
I don't even know if I wanted to say anything else anymore on that game, but I don't now. To the night games, 9:45 p.m. Eastern, 3 late wins here. A great Monday slate. Sometimes these Monday slates have like 5 games, so a great slate. Super long show today. Because sometimes it'll be 5 games. It'll be a lot shorter. Giants hosting the Rockies. We locked in an honorable mention last night on the under 7 at minus 110. It's now plus 112. The interesting thing on this one is the grade shifting around a little bit, the projection shifting around a little bit. It did it in Coors as well. 2 fields that kind of changed a little bit. Last night, the projection in Coors was 9.7. Now it's 9.2. So the update in the weather moved that around a little bit. Something to keep an eye on. Maybe that update moves around a little bit more in Coors. It also did it in San Francisco, and that wouldn't surprise me if this happened on occasion in San Francisco. San Francisco is the type of weather that's going to be the exact same every single day, and then randomly it's going to like change. So you might randomly get this with San Francisco. I think it kind of happened a little bit here overnight. We had it at 6.5. Now we've got it at 6.7. We are expecting a strong wind out. San Francisco was built because of being on the water, engineered specifically to minimize that wind impact. And so the outwind doesn't matter as much in San Francisco as it does anywhere. It's the anti-wriggling is the other way to think about it. Cousin Jared, Chris Bubich and Robbie Ray. Bubich has been fantastic. He was kind of a little bit up and down all over the place early on. Kind of took a while to figure it out. But once he's figured it out, I mean, really stepping in and almost becoming a baby Cole Reagans, maybe even trying to become as good as him right now. An 85 grade, number 18 overall, and starting pitches, 166 ERA. Now, of course, the underlying metrics aren't that favorable, but his FIP is 2.7. Like, it ain't fake. I mean, this is a real good pitcher here. Robbie Ray is a guy we've been really against for a while and had some injuries, and apparently now has come back healthy. And Cousin Jared, I think you and I were both a little surprised.
I mean, Robbie Ray is like an every other year thing. Every other year he's going to be good. Every other year he's going to be bad. There is no in between.
And every year he's confusing in a different way. And that's the thing is he wins a Cy Young on a year that he gets very lucky and is terrible underlying metrics. And actually it was like the year before, the year after, I can't remember which one, actually pitched better, but had like worse results because the luck. Yeah. And you just never know with this guy. Well, apparently we're on and we're back. We're back Robbie Ray fans again. Rejuvenating his career with the Giants. 3.04 ERA. Underlying metrics not that good, but that's still a heck of an improvement from where he was before. We're in a pitcher-friendly ballpark that kind of got hitter-friendly a little bit a couple years ago, and now it's back to being pitcher-friendly. I don't know that one either. But normal chilly night, we're going to go under. Honorable mention, under 7. The implied total now with the prices is that they think it should be north of 7. We think it should be south of 7. That's really kind of the bottom line. Cousin Jared, where do you go from there?
So when I was looking at games last night, before I even saw what sideline projected, I was like, this total is going to be 6.5. Like with these two teams, I just felt like the total and playing where they're at, I felt like this had to be 6.5. Can't believe we're getting under 7. I am going under 7 in this game, and fairly similar to the other ones. Like, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't do under 7 minus 125, but I would do under 7 minus 120.
And you're at plus odds right now, so it doesn't work.
Yeah. So don't have to worry about that. The other thing that I was thinking, I may take under 7 for the series in this one, because I think, we talked about the Royals having really good pitching, even with the injuries. I still trust some of the arms that they're able to throw out there. The I don't want to say the way this one loses. You can't really ever say that with baseball. There's too many things, but do want to note that
we could say the most obvious way it loses.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will note that the Giants are an above average team against left-handed starting pitching. And so, we just talked about Bubich, how well he's done recently, how it's not a fluke. I think that I still trust him in this game, but the Giants do hit lefties a little bit better. So just something to keep in mind.
Also, great information that is Available on Zone Club, of course, for every game, all the lefty-righty stuff, and kind of revamped lately the sheet, some of that stuff, how it's displayed. So hopefully it's good. And as always, if people have other suggestions or ideas, let me know. This is up to 7.5 at a lot of books now. You're still plus odds on 7. So, Cousin Jared, my question to you is 7.5 right now, minus 120 at Caesars, minus 122 at DraftKings, minus 120 at MGM, minus 125 at ESPN. So minus 120 is basically everywhere. If you can get down more than $1 at Fanatics, which I don't literally know anyone who can, minus 115. So if you still can, thank your lucky stars. I can still get money at Hard Rock, and I don't know how. I'm like the only person who can. So everyone gets these weird things where like I can't get money anywhere basically, except for this one thing that I don't know. If you get Fanatics, that's where to go. Cousin Jared, my question, I sidetracked here. If you can get under 7 plus odds, it does still exist at some places like a plus 110. Under 7 plus 110, under 7.5 minus 120. That's a steep price, but 7 could happen. Are you that concerned about the win, or are you thinking, hey, this could go wrong and land 8-9, weird things happen? I'd rather just take the better odds. Or you like, God, I think 7 is so like likely that I want that win there, and I think I'd play 7.5 and lay the minus 120.
Yeah, in the words of Al Davis, who apparently is going to be portrayed by Christian Bale in the new John Madden movie, just win, baby. So give me the odds. I am going to lay the steeper odds at 7.5 because I'm going for the win. I am not as much concerned about a push. Give me the win at 7.5.
We need to I would like to add a bloopers segment or like a fun clips, and I feel like that's got to be the lead one, right? One of them right there. One of the first ones. I got my 56-minute mark here of Cousin Jared quoting Al Davis, mentioning Christian Bale. And I mean, you did it all right there. That was like a nice little 20-second.
I'm a man. I don't want to say I'm a man of many talents, but I am a man of many things.
The talents that you have run deep.
Yes.
We'll say that. Angels and the A's are almost there, folks. 2 games to go. 10:05. First pitch. A hot one in not Oakland, in Sacramento. And folks, I'm going to say Oakland at some point, so I apologize when I do. Just pretend nice. The weather picks up Sacramento. Just know it's right, and it's going to take me a minute to fully get there. But because we talked about this at the start of the season, all the runs in this park, and wind blowing out, and elevation and blah, 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 all of the things that we talked about. We said at the start of the season, we said it's chilly in Sacramento at night on these games. 55 degrees. It's like Oakland. And we were still seeing insane numbers to run, folks. I'm leery. I'm hesitant here because everything I read about this park in terms of its run expectancy relative to other parks in the PCL or whatever the heck they're calling it now was that this shouldn't be that hitter friendly. But folks, Cousin Jared, you had read about what some players were saying at the start of the season. And when I look at how many runs were scored in the colder months, tonight, first pitch, 87 degrees.
Wow.
And we're talking, and folks, you may say, oh, it's not that hot. No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it's been 60, like 30-degree difference almost. It's going to make a big difference. Even by the end of the game, mid-70s, wind will still be blowing a little bit out. It won't be much help. Slight wind, a little bit across, a little bit out, but really it's just about a warmer temperature in a park that's already given up runs like crazy somehow. Top play over 9.5, really a no-brainer for me. I don't know, Cousin Jared, if you haven't been on this over train, a lot of times we say the benefit of the model is knowing how long to ride the trains. And a lot of times we'll come on and we'll ride something and we'll say, that was a fun month. That was a fun 2 months. Cousin Jared, this train is still going strong. Get on. There's still room. There's still good seats available. Because you've been preaching for 2 months now about this. If someone hasn't got on board now, what else do you have to say to them?
I don't know. The A's have played, I want to make sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've played 6 home series this year. 4 of those series has had multiple games go into the double digits in totals. And it's kind of been across the spectrum. They have played some good offenses at home, but also they've played teams like the Mariners and the Rangers, who are hot and cold, at least on offense. They definitely have the talent, but they've been hot and cold. And all of them have found a way.
The Rangers had back-to-back games scoring 0 runs in Cincinnati. Like, I know it was chilly, but like still, like that's still crazy. Like,
and so it has not mattered. at all. Love the over. I don't know what to say. This was the other game, though, that I was going to mention as far as impacting the rivalry weekend. Angels sweeping the Dodgers this past weekend.
Yes, that had the Dodgers won that, it would have had no impact.
Yeah,
but if the Angels did that way, it's a good point. It's a good point.
You could not get me to back the Angels here with a 10-foot pole. And I don't think that is what Sideline is saying that you should do.
No.
Last night there was a slight edge on the A's. As of this morning, no, basically nothing either way. It was
a slight edge last night at -118. Now the price is out to -126. So it would have 8 cents is another just ding to it,
Yeah, and so just know. This would have to get to A grade territory to be on the Angels before I would touch them. I'm not messing with the Angels in this one.
So let me ask a follow-up then, because you made a great point. This could affect the Angels, and right now the model's saying there's no mathematical value, but the model isn't capturing that, right? And so we always talk about, we always want to kind of make a mental adjustment anytime we know the model is or isn't, don't make the adjustment if we know it is capturing it. Do make the adjustment if we know it's not. And that's, again, the benefit of Discord is you can come ask me these questions. Is it capturing this? And I can tell you. And in this case, it's not capturing that. There's nothing in the model that says, like, you beat your rival, blah, blah, blah. Like, that would be way too complicated to code, and I'd probably mess it up more than anything. Question you, though, because of that, are you interested in just playing the A's anyway and saying, I don't care if the model doesn't think there's value because we know something more? And even at -126 at home, knowing that, it's probably still smart to play the A's. Is that where you're at, maybe?
I would say that if there were any edge at all on the A's, I would place. But so I am under the current scenario, I am still staying away because Sideline is saying that the edge is the opposite way. But basically, if this line was at 114, Sideline says that the A's should be -114 favorites. If it gets to that -114, I'm playing it at that point. There basically has to be no edge. I will not go against Sideline, but if Sideline says there is no edge, I will still play it.
And even something like -115, I think we would say that's rounding error, close enough to play. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get there. Now I'm seeing -140, so it's even going even more the wrong direction, which means we're definitely just laying off that. We're playing the total.
Everybody's thinking the same thing that I just said.
Yes, exactly. But so let's just stay away from that. Just in case the Angels accidentally win. It's not about if the A's win or don't win, because they're going to win or don't win. We don't know, but one will happen. It's the fact that if we're playing -140, that's going to hurt a lot more if they accidentally lose. Because we know it would be an accident, but they might accidentally lose because we're the And Jose Soriano doesn't give a crap about that. That's the hitter's line. But Jose Soriano does not care about that. He's going out there pitching his best either way.
Yeah, and I feel like this is what this show is about, us saying that, we've incorporated what we know outside of what Sideline does. We are willing to back the A's at this certain number, but now the math, it's so far gone, even taking into consideration what we know, it's not worth playing it.
So. Absolutely, could not agree more. I love it. And that's, I think, what we're going to try to get back to is more of those things where we can provide those edges. I love it. I love some of these comments I'm seeing in the chat as well. You are doing fantastic over there. I'm not commenting on all of them here, of course, but talking about the DFS stuff, love DFS ideas of anything happening in this game if you're inclined offensively. I think that's a great idea as well. So, again, loving the comments there. Cousin Jared, just to wrap us up here, again, probably biggest bet on the board for me at this point, if I were to differentiate. We don't ever recommend going above 2 units, really, ever. Unit and a half, 2 units, though, in whatever you're comfortable with, I think is where we're liking this. Even though it's the hook, you could still get -115 on the 9.5 just about everywhere. There's some -110s. I guess it's just at Circa. I'm not sure. Many people probably can't play at Circa here. But there are some better prices. -115 is widely available, and we love that. Cool. All right. Well, Diamondbacks and Dodgers, we're going to wrap up here. And we just talked about the Dodgers, right? Is there going to be any bounce back from them after that? Is there going to be any extra motivation? Or it could go the other way. It could be a little bit of a hangover letdown, right? It could go either way for the Dodgers. Either way, though, I think this is a fascinating game to talk about from the pitching standpoint. And so we're trying to talk about all the different things here. and I'm going to try to go as deep as we can. We're already, though, to an hour, so I can't say everything. Everything, though, is basically in Dub Club. All these notes, like I'm just pulling from that. But, real quick, right, weather should be a normal night in LA. Nice, little warm, low 70s, normal on everything else, though, with the wind. The pitching is what I want to talk about. Brandon Pfaadt, a guy the model has loved in the past. 51 innings this year, 3.73 ERA, 385 xFIP. Underlying metrics aligned with that. For whatever reason, though, the model isn't quite as high on him as it was before and is still putting him right around league average. Landon Knack, on the other hand, you might look at, and that's the thing, is you might look at this and say 102 grade, 105 grade. How does that make sense? Landon Knack is a 5.89 ERA. And I would say yes, but he's also got a 3.71 xFIP. And I know it's only 18 innings, but like that ERA I think means nothing. Like his underlying metrics have been fine. He's a prospect. He's got good minor league numbers. Remember I talked earlier about the Astros and trusting them in these situations a little bit more. The Dodgers are absolutely another model case for this. They do a really good job limiting innings to maximize things, using the bullpen, knowing when guys are ready. They've got the depth, etc. I am going to say there's value on the Dodgers here because of the fact that I think that Landon Knack is as good as Brandon Pfaadt. I'm not saying he's better. I just think he's close enough in the same category, in the same bowl, in the same ballpark, whatever you want to think about it. Whereas I think that the market is saying Pfaadt is way better. And that's why I think there's value on the Dodgers. We don't often play the Dodgers. We played them a little more lately. It's a bit weird, but it's only when there's value on the Dodgers. But I mean, number one offense in baseball. And anytime the market looks at a pitching situation and thinks Dodgers don't have the edge, and I think that's actually a wash, Dodgers are at home. It's going to give us value. Minus 140 is what we played last night. It's minus 141 right now. Either way, A grade, top play. Model thinks it should be minus 195. Because this might be the biggest edge we've ever had on the Dodgers. Ever. And I don't know what to do about that other than just say, I guess we'll play it. And if we lose, we'll just go, well, that was weird in a lot of ways. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I won't say anything else about the Dodgers. Think it's a great play. I am also looking at the over 9.5. We've got a moderate wind going out on this one. To your point, neither starting pitcher has just hung the moon so far this season. Neither bullpen is great, I would say. And I saw a stat the other day that the Diamondbacks have lost 4 or 5 games in their history when they've scored at least 11 runs, and 3 of those have come this season. And so just they have an innate ability to get into these high, exceptionally high scoring games. And so, we talk about 9 being a really key number. And so going over 9.5, yes, you always have a little bit more pause when doing that. But the Diamondbacks have just had this way this season of this game could get up to 12, 13, 14 runs with how they've played. So I just think that, Dodgers definitely backing them, favorite aspect of this game, but I think I might just dabble on the over 9.5 as well, just because, like I said, this Diamondbacks team has just found a way to get in some crazy high scoring games this year.
They really have. I don't remember which series it was that they played in, but they played the Cubs a couple times. I want to say it was one of them, and it feels like there's still runs being scored. Now, a month later, it's that's how crazy some of those games got. Yeah, I think the over makes a lot of sense. Of note, again, another one where the projection did bump up a little bit from last night. It was 9.9 last night, and it's 10.2. The weather update makes it a little bit warmer, a little bit stronger wind blowing out, a little bit of an update on the data that we got from yesterday. Just very minor things. It was just kind of a tiny bit here, a little tenth there, a little tenth there. And that projection has crept up a little bit from the overnight where we were saying, look at that over 9.5. That might be worth it. And now this morning, the model's saying, yeah, you really should be looking at it as it's in the A grade territory. It's one of only 2 plays that are in A grade territory this morning that we did not make last night. The other one being the under 10 in Coors. And out of principle, I'm not playing under and the Rockies in the same game anymore, ever. You do one or the other, but you don't live on the edge both ways. It's just not. You'd be better off doing the whole snorting cocaine, riding in a motorcycle, jumping out of a helicopter I think, than backing both the Rockies and the under in Coors in the same game. But that's just my take. So we're looking over. Makes a lot of sense. Not an official pick, but worth it, even at 9.5. And Cousin Jared, I'm going to say even I like some of the over 9.5s even more than the over 9s. And that sounds weird, but there's something too. I've been working on this theory, and there's something about this, and my brain's kind of putting all this together that says, and we mentioned earlier, the bets we don't like, other people don't like them either. And that creates a little bit of value. And now we have to be careful about that because it has to create enough value to be worth it. So you can't just always say, oh, I don't like this, unless there's value on it. But we have to try to find those spots. And a lot of times I found over 9.5 fits that for me. It fits that where it's like, I think there's value here because other people are like, oh, 9.5 could never go over. And so people go over.
They're just as uncomfortable as we are.
They are. But people are comfortable going under. So the under bets happen and the over bets don't, which means they adjust the price to make the price even better for us. So we get and not always, and they don't always win. We just get a lot of value on these over 9.5s, I find. So I've been much more comfortable playing them lately, and I think it's been a good thing. So again, it doesn't mean this one wins. It just means it's probably worth a look. It probably hits at a good enough clip to be worth your look. And the same thing with the Dodgers. Could have a letdown. But minus 140 is just too good of a price for this offense in a game where, the Dodgers have the better relievers, especially with Justin Martinez for the Diamondbacks still being injured.
Right.
Maybe coming back soon, but, that being a big blow, this Dodgers offense, and again, Knack, I don't really think it's a big deal. So we have to play the Dodgers at minus 140. Even if they don't win, it's just too good of a deal. And again, we're looking at the over. Cousin Jerry, that's all we got. We did not make an hour. We went over an hour, but there were a lot of games today. So we'll try to keep this around an hour most of the time.
Yeah. I was about to say this is definitely one of the heavier Monday slates of the season.
It is.
So can't promise you an hour of content every Monday, but we'll do our best.
We will. Again, thanks everyone for the comments. If you have more comments, of course, leave those in the show. This will be up on YouTube, of course. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Discord. And we will again try to adjust into a form and a setting and a format, all those things as we get going here. Into something. So a little bit more changes here in the next couple weeks, and then we'll kind of settle into something. Because your parting words here before we sign off.
College football is less than 100 days away.
I was guessing you would go with I already said enough, and I don't have any more words. But thankfully, you came through with as always with your college football talk. So we love that. We're looking forward to college football. We've done so well these last few seasons. I'm just chopping at the bit, just like waiting. Cannot wait. That's all I've got here for today. As always, we thank you for watching. We wish you the best of luck and remind you, folks, got this. Hey, everyone pay attention now. Over 900 shows, I've had the same outro. And even that, we're switching up. Everything is changing, folks, all for the better, because I'm here to remind you that with the right teacher, you can win more when you win.